Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide. Different setting here. Well, this time I am going to be checking stuff out on my main computer, so I wanted to just set things up here so that I can do the whole capturing and capturing of the entire video material from this one vantage point, and also to test it out and basically see if the recording conditions are good enough for maybe future videos, because this does open door for some more convenience for certain types of videos. In this video, exciting news, finally, after a lot of delays and many delays and speculations and things like that, Supernote A5X2, more information is here and it's available and it's revealed. So let's check it out. What are the key features of the Supernote A5X2 as presented to us by Ratta? So they lead off by saying it is 18% thinner, which makes it slimmer. Thinnest edge, only 3.5 millimeters with a sleek bionic back. Well, that kind of, for me, that means that this is going to be more of a combination of, it's going to look like something like Supernote or the Penstar N10, or maybe even a little bit like well, not so much as Supernote A5, because Supernote A5 is more kind of rounded bucketing from what I've seen other images that are showing the A5X2. This is more of an angular kind of thing and a defined bottom as well. So it is now going to be 5.9 millimeters thin, and that's a nice thing, because that must mean, in some way, it has to mean that it's going to be lighter than the A5X. Yes, there we go, lighter. About 15% relief, reduced overall device and folio weight with the half folio. All right, so the half folio thing that they're mentioning here works like this. It's basically hooking up only to the edge here, and then apparently you have a mechanical latch as well as magnets. No, it's all mechanical. It looks like it's all mechanical. So we have a mechanical latch here that releases 4 of these. Now, what I wish that we would be able to actually see is, okay, that's how you take it off, but how easy and convenient is it to put it on because of that thinness? Because now you have 3.5 millimeters on the thinnest edge. Maybe that's the thinnest edge is going to be on that side, and you have like 4 holes that need to be aligned perfectly. And I've already seen with the Penstar N2 and 10, I hope that they've implemented some smart magnetic guides that are gonna help guide the whole thing and just snap it in. Otherwise, this might be a fiddly, very fiddly and unnecessarily fiddly point here. But yeah, it's interesting that they went for the mechanical locking instead of just magnets. Okay, the half folio looks nice. The only thing is, like, this pen loop is actually part of the device, so it's not part of the folio. That's also an interesting thing to see. All right, then we have the next thing, which is it is high resolution and contrast, which means 33% higher PPI. So we got 300 PPI display on it, and it's not a 10.3 inch because this is not an HD Carta, this is Carta Flexible, which means it's not a glass cover, it's a plastic cover, and this seems to be the same panel that the V Woods is using in their AI paper, because their device also has a 300 PPI panel that is a 10.65 inch, and this is a 10.7 inch. So I'm kind of wondering, and that one is also Carta Flexible. So this looks like to be pretty much the same panels that that they are going to be using, or at the very least, very similar one. So still durable with the flexible screen, about double cost of glass. Okay, what does that say for the final price of the A5X2? I mean, that's that's a scary one. And the Feel-Right 2 self-recovery film. Now, the Feel-Right 2 is basically my main point of contention that I personally have with the Supernote A6X2, because it feels harder, doesn't feel as good as the Feel-Right one. Now, Maybe it's just due to the hardness because Supernote A6X2 uses a glass screen, right, and a glass panel. So it's going to be very, very interesting for me to see how does Feel-Right 2 pair with the flexibility of the Carta flexible panel that apparently we're going to have on the Supernote A5X2. Under flexible, what does it say? Clear 33, that's the same thing. So what's flexible? You can play frisbee with it. Okay. I recommend that you don't do that with your dog around, if especially if the dog is happy to have some fetch. And just throwing the device here, I mean, it's interesting, it's like slow-mo and stuff, but it didn't really fall on hard surface. It fell on leaves and some kind of ground. So yeah, that's something to, oh my, okay. So A4 paper, right? And now they're, okay, that's brutal. Oh, this is painful to watch. Oy. Oy, oy, oy. Okay, okay, I take it back. Maybe could even take a chewing from a dog. But that was definitely brutal and interesting to see. So these stats are performed under controlled conditions. While durable, the devices can be damaged by drops or impacts. Do not attempt to replicate these tests. Okay, good disclosure there. More sustainable, not just going paperless, but also fighting e-waste with the modular design. And it is continuing the story of the A6X2. And you can see this because this is the motherboard, this is the battery. And what they're doing here is like they're taking the motherboard from A6X2 and walking it over in a cute way to the A5X2, plug it in, and it's supposed to work. It can also have an upgradable motherboard. So this is an interesting choice of words here for me because it doesn't say replaceable motherboard, but upgradable motherboard. So does that mean that potentially, maybe in the future, you would be able to just buy a, I don't know, Supernote A5X2 Pro motherboard module that just arrives, and then you just plug it in and you send back the old one, and then you have an even more performing device? That would be very, very interesting, because as a concept, that definitely should be something that's possible, and that's something that this modular design opens the door for. So it's a very, very interesting thing to see. Then we also have replaceable battery. Same thing continues, like maybe you couldn't buy a higher capacity battery and a new back that would accommodate for a bigger battery. Just spitballing ideas here, and of course the expandable storage in there. So for all intents and purposes, it's the exact same insides of the A6X2. It just has a 10.7-inch 300 ppi Carta flexible screen, and yeah, the surrounding stuff that makes the device smarter, navigate more efficiently, and access quickly. Yes, because it has these dual sidebars. Again, the same thing that we have with the A6X2 as well. And auto rotation, again, same thing that we had with the A6X2 as well, but it's a very, very, very welcome thing to see that we have the gyro in the A5X2 as well, because that makes the usability and the flexibility of usability much, much nicer. More convenient. Ingenious designs to maximize your enjoyment with every use. Adaptable to different pen sizes and easy to replace. Okay, so this is basically a stretchy, right? So it's just a stretchy one that will hold your pen. Cool. Stable foot pads. Finally, that is a really cool thing, because that is something that the A6X2 is missing. It doesn't have any kind of rubber pads. Of course, you can just easily add them, but it's nice that this is a part of a design. It's a very nice thing to see. Yes, yes, yes. Continuing the practicality and story of the A6X2, and we have a top charging port, which is really, really super convenient. This was actually quite a big disappointment for me, at least, with the Remarkable Paper Pro, because they were not chasing thinness, so they had the opportunity to basically put the top charging port to make things a lot more convenient, but they didn't. And so many manufacturers simply don't do that, whereas Ratta did, and this is something that's really, really cool to see. I'm wondering and hoping is this right-angled cable going to be something that's going to be included with the Supernote A5X2 as the cable that you get with the device? Because that would be pretty freaking cool. That's pretty much all of the info that we got so far. Okay, well, alrighty then. So we now definitively see what Supernote A5X2 is going to be about, what it's not going to be about, and in this final section I just want to give you my impression and my 2 cents on what I can see from here. My main point of concern that I have is the mention of that the screen, the Ratta flexible screen, is twice the price of the HD Ratta or the glass screen. My main point of concern there is how is that going to reflect the final cost of the device itself. And why is that a point of concern? Well, because the Boox Go 10.3 exists and it offers a heck of a lot at an extremely aggressive and competitive price. So that, I think, is going to be the major contender for the Supernote A5X2. Granted, Supernote A5X2 is offering quite a lot, at least on paper. It seems to be offering a different type of approach. While it's not chasing to be the thinnest or anything like that, it is taking a different approach, and this is something that I find myself actually liking in the devices that I use. Yes, the metal and glass devices feel premium and they look premium. They certainly are a joy to use, and they give you this really wonderful kind of feedback when you're using them. There's no question about it. That's absolutely 100% valid thing to consider and a point of preference. However, there is something to be said about the simplicity of a traditional, flexible, durable plastic design like this one has, and like my Quaderno A4 does. So I'm coming from that perspective because I found myself that I feel way more freer to use, and basically I'm less distracted by the device itself when it's simpler, right? And that's something that I loved about Remarkable 1. Remarkable 2 just became super fancy, too fancy, and then I became too aware of its fragility and its design and its rigidity. And there's something about the rigidity and all that kind of stuff that just makes me be a little bit more on my toes because I don't want to damage the device. With the Quaderno A4, I've been using it for a while, for a long time now, and that's my exclusive. The only thing that I use it for is MDO, but I use it daily. And I enjoy using it because it's so simple and straightforward. So this design promises to be that, but coupled with all of the benefits and the brain power and the organizational power and simplicity and all of that stuff that's associated with the Supernote platform that we've already seen on the Supernote A6X. Ratta screen, I am very happy to see that. I don't know how it's going to reflect the actual image quality. Despite it having 300 ppi traditionally, Ratta flexible screens have a lower contrast and a little bit more fuzziness than when compared with the HD Ratta screens, which are glass panel screens. So I think that when we compare the image quality of the Supernote A5X2 with the Boox Go 10.3, I would expect that the Boox 10.3 is still gonna come ahead in sharpness, blackness, contrast, and all of that kind of stuff. But it remains to be seen. So that's something to kind of check out. But you do get a bit of a larger footprint as well for the screen real estate. Is it exciting? I don't think it's going to be exciting for the general populace because it's way more function over form type of an approach, and that's something that I absolutely appreciate. I'm just thinking that it's may not be a thing that 100% of people are going to be like full on with the whole thing. The other thing that I notice is that they still haven't gone the route of actually matching the surrounding plastic of the front panel of the device to match the grayness of the screen. I don't know why they didn't go for that. I mean, they are pretty much using the same type of thing here, and that one doesn't really match perfectly. and maybe it's a design thing, but I still think it would have been nicer if it matched as closely as possible, because that is a nice thing to kind of see. The final thing that I'm also reacting to is that once you add a gyro to your device, there's another consideration to keep in mind, and they have had that consideration in mind in the design of the A6X2, and that is the width of the margins. So if the left and the right margins are the same, I would prefer to have the top and the bottom margins the same width, because when you flip it to the side, it is a good idea to have a symmetrical frame around the content that you're looking at, and that, from what I can see, is not the case on the Supernote A5X2, and I think that's also a missed opportunity as far as the design goes. I have to see how the half cover mechanism, latching mechanism, will work. If it works that you simply unlatch it, that you can easily unlatch it and take it off, or more importantly, put it back on, that would be a crucial kind of thing. Otherwise, if it's something that you're fiddling about and it has 4 slots that are trying to align themselves, it's a long vertical. That's a long vertical, and that you need help of magnetic forces to actually navigate these things so that they can snap into place. And I just don't know if they were able to actually get that into that thin edge of if it's 3.5 millimeters on that side or not. We'll see. And the final thing that we didn't get to see is also how does the half cover work when you flap it back around, how that design will work, and will it accommodate for the unevenness of the surface. So yes, it does have a flat surface of roughly this kind of footprint, but then it tapers off to the sides, up and down, and it remains to be seen when you're writing, how will that feel? Will the device wobble because it's all plastic? It's going to be flexible, and the screen is flexible, so will that whole surface then just become too wobbly? I don't know. If those design points are actually on point, then I think that Supernote A5X2 is going to be a very, very exciting device, considering that it performs well and that they have eliminated the really bad issue that Supernote still occurs on the Supernote A6X2 with the accidental palm rejection is just not working well. Maybe it has something to do with the new screen, because it's not the case on the Supernote A5X or the A6X. It's just on this one. So we'll have to see if it's a screen technology type of an issue, how that will perform. But overall, I think it's exciting to finally see it, and it's definitely going to be quite exciting to actually, have it in your hands and test it out and see how do all of these new changes and design points and approaches that they've taken, how do they reflect in reality, so when you're actually using the device. What do you think about the Supernote A5X2 design and presentations and solutions that they've offered here? Because this is obviously, that's how it's going to be. They are committed now. What do you think the price is going to be? Because we have pricing now of these devices all over the place, especially for the 10-point-something inch range. It's now a huge range between books go 10.3 all the way to, I don't know, AI paper or things like that, which are on a much higher end scale. So where do you think this is going to fit? My bet is that, unfortunately, I think that it's not going to be below the $500 mark. And it might even happen that it's even a little bit more than $500, which could support that claim, why they actually said, like, yeah, there's a screen that's twice as more expensive than the HD Carta version or the glass version. So I hope that I'm wrong. I really hope that I'm wrong. What is your opinion of the overall device and what we have now to see as what is apparently going to be the Supernote A5X2? All right, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye.